Picture yourself standing on the banks of a wide, muddy river, its waters glinting under a golden sun. All around you are fields of barley, swaying in the breeze, and in the distance, the mud brick walls of a bustling city rise against the horizon. This is ancient Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, often called the cradle of civilization. Tonight, we're going to wander through the quiet, everyday moments of life here. Moments so ordinary, so intricate, and so delightfully mundane that they might just carry you off to sleep. Settle in, let your thoughts soften, and let's drift into the daily rhythms of a world long gone. Chapter 1. Waking with the Sun. The sun is rising over the city of Uruk, sometime around 2500 BCE. The air is already warm, carrying the scent of dust and freshly baked bread. In a small mud brick house, a family stirs. The house is simple, its walls made of sun-dried bricks, smoothed with plaster and painted with patterns of red and ochre. There's no glass in the windows, just open spaces with woven reed mats to keep out the sun. Odd glare. The roof is flat, made of palm fronds and clay, and at night, the family might sleep up there to catch the cool breeze. A woman named Shub-ad, a common name in Sumerian times, is the first to rise. She's not a queen or a priestess, just an ordinary woman with a busy day ahead. She steps onto the packed earth floor, her bare feet cool against the ground. Her first task is to light the fire in a small clay oven in the courtyard. She kneels, striking flint against stone, coaxing a spark into a pile of dried reeds. The fire catches, and she adds a few sticks, the smoke curling lazily into the morning sky. Her husband, Enlil-nam, is already awake, splashing water on his face from a clay basin. Water is precious here, drawn from the nearby river, or a canal that snakes through the city. The couple's two children, a boy and a girl, are still curled up on reed mats, their blankets made of woven wool. Shub-ad nudges them gently, and they groan, just like children today. Reluctant to start the day. There's no coffee in Mesopotamia, no tea either, but Shub-ad might grind barley to make a thin porridge, flavored with dates or a drizzle of sesame oil. Breakfast is simple, eaten with wooden spoons from clay bowls, and the family sits cross-legged on the floor, chatting quietly about the day ahead. Life in Mesopotamia begins early, because the sun rules everything. There are no clocks, no ticking hands to mark the hours. Instead, the day is measured by the sun's arc across the sky, the shadows shifting on the walls. By the time the family finishes eating, the city is waking up. Outside, the streets, narrow and winding, paved with baked bricks, are coming alive with the sounds of footsteps, donkey hooves, and the chatter of neighbors. Uruk is one of the largest cities in the world at this time, home to tens of thousands of people, all living in a web of daily routines that feel both foreign and familiar. Chapter 2. Work in the Fields and Workshops. Let's follow Enlil-nam as he leaves the house, his sandals slapping against the dusty street. He's a farmer, like many in Mesopotamia, and his fields lie just outside the city walls. The land here is fertile, thanks to the Tigris and Euphrates, but it's also unpredictable. Floods can wash away crops, and droughts can crack the earth. To tame the rivers, the Mesopotamians built canals, ditches, and reservoirs, a system so complex it required entire communities to maintain. Enlil-nam joins a group of men checking a canal, ensuring the water flows evenly to the barley fields. They use wooden shovels and baskets to clear silt, their hands caked with mud, their voices low as they work under the rising sun. Farming is the backbone of Mesopotamia, but not everyone works the fields. In the city, artisans are busy in their workshops. A potter spins a wheel, shaping wet clay into jars, bowls, and cups. His hands move with practiced ease, smoothing the clay as it spins, his foot tapping to keep the wheel turning. Nearby, a weaver sits at a loom, threading wool dyed with indigo and madder root to create patterns of blue and red. The air smells of wool and dye, and the rhythmic clack of the loom is almost hypnotic. Merchants, too, are part of the city's pulse. In the marketplace, stalls are piled with goods, baskets of dates, sacks of barley, and jars of beer, Mesopotamia's favorite drink. Beer isn't just a beverage here, it's a staple, brewed from barley and flavored with herbs. A merchant named Lugal sips from a clay cup, bargaining with a trader from a distant city. They use cuneiform tablets to record their deal, pressing a reed stylus into soft clay to mark wedges that represent numbers and goods. These tablets, dried in the sun or baked in a kiln, are the world's first spreadsheets, tracking everything from grain to silver. Let's linger in the marketplace for a moment. The air is thick with the scents of roasted fish, sesame oil, and spices carried from far-off lands. Donkeys bray, children dart between stalls, and a scribe sits under a canopy, writing contracts for anyone who can pay. The market is loud but orderly, governed by laws etched on clay or stone. The famous Code of Hammurabi, though it won't be written for centuries, will later reflect this sense of order, with rules for everything from wages to marriage. Chapter 3. The Role of Women and Family. Back at home, Shubaid is busy with her own work. Women in Mesopotamia aren't confined to the home, but many, like Shubad, manage the household. She sweeps the courtyard, her broom made of bundled reeds, and checks the family stores of grain and oil, kept in large clay jars sealed with lids. She might visit the market later to barter for fish or lentils, carrying a basket woven from river reeds. Her daughter, Inanna, helps her, learning to grind barley with a stone quern, her small hands mimicking her mother's movements. Women in Mesopotamia could own property, run businesses, and even serve as priestesses. In the temple of Inanna, the goddess of love and war, women hold powerful roles, performing rituals and managing temple lands. But for Shubad, life is simpler. She spins wool into thread, her spindle twirling as she chats with a neighbor. The neighbor, a widow named Nanshi, runs a small tavern, serving beer to weary farmers and traders. Women like Nanshi are common in Mesopotamia, independent, resourceful, and vital to the community. The family is the heart of Mesopotamian life. Children are expected to learn their parents' trades, whether farming, weaving, or scribing. Education is rare, reserved for boys training to be scribes or priests, who spend years learning cuneiform in temple schools. Inanna and her brother, Enki, might learn a few signs, enough to recognize their names on a tablet, but their real education happens at home. Enki follows his father to the fields, learning to plant barley and repair canals, while Inanna watches her mother cook, weave, and manage the household. Let's pause to imagine a family meal. It's evening, and the sun is setting, casting a warm glow over the courtyard. Shubad serves flatbread, baked on the clay oven's walls, alongside a stew of lentils, onions, and fish. The family drinks beer through reed straws, sipping from a shared jar. They talk about the day, the canal that needed fixing, the neighbor's new baby, the festival coming up at the temple. It's a quiet moment, one of countless evenings that blend into the rhythm of their lives. Chapter 4. Religion and Rituals. Religion weaves through every part of Mesopotamian life, like the rivers that feed the land. The gods are everywhere. An, the sky god, Enlil, the god of wind, and Inanna, the fierce goddess of love and war. Each city has its own patron deity, and Uruk's is Inanna, whose temple, the Eanna, towers over the city. It's not just a place of worship, but a center of life, storing grain, training scribes, and hosting festivals. Let's follow Shubad and her family to a festival. It's the Akitu, the New Year celebration, held in spring when the barley ripens. The streets are crowded, and the air hums with music. Drums, lyres, and flutes played by temple musicians. People wear their best clothes, tunics of wool or linen, dyed in bright colors for the wealthy, plain for families like Shubad's. They bring offerings to the temple, baskets of dates, jars of oil, or even a lamb if they can afford it. Priests in long robes chant prayers, their voices rising over the crowd, while statues of the gods are carried through the streets on wooden litters. The festival isn't just about worship, it's a break from the daily grind. There are dances, feasts, and games. Children chase each other, laughing, while adults share beer and stories. Shobad might pray for a good harvest, or her children's health, her hands pressed together as she stands before Inanna's statue. The gods, the Mesopotamians believe, control everything, from floods to fertility, and keeping them happy is a daily task. Even at home, Shubad keeps a small clay figurine of a protective spirit, offering it bits of bread or oil to ward off evil. Let's imagine one of these rituals. It's night, and Shubad lights a small oil lamp, its flame flickering in the dark. She places it before the figurine, whispering a prayer for her family's safety. The air is still, and the only sound is the distant barking of a dog. It's a moment of quiet faith, one of many that anchor her life in this ancient world. Chapter 5. The Scribes and the Written Word. While Shubad tends to her home, let's visit another part of the city, the scribal school. Here young boys, mostly from wealthy families, sit cross-legged on the floor, practicing cuneiform on clay tablets. The school is attached to the temple, its walls lined with shelves of tablets, the world's first libraries. A scribe's life is prestigious, but grueling. Students spend years memorizing hundreds of cuneiform signs, each one a wedge-shaped mark representing a word, sound, or number. Let's watch a scribe named Marduk Apla, a young man with ink-stained fingers. He's copying a hymn to Enlil, pressing his stylus into soft clay with care. The tablet will be dried in the sun or baked for permanence, joining thousands of others that record everything from laws to recipes. Writing is a new invention, barely 1,000 years old, and it's transforming Mesopotamia. It lets kings issue laws, merchants track trade, and priests preserve myths like the Epic of Gilgamesh, which tells of a king's quest for immortality. Scribes are the backbone of the bureaucracy. They write contracts, tax records, and letters, using clay tablets that can survive for millennia. Some tablets are tiny, no bigger than a credit card, while others are large, inscribed with detailed accounts. Marduk Apla might work for the temple, the palace, or a wealthy merchant, his skills in demand across the city. But his life isn't glamorous. He spends hours hunched over his tablets, his eyes straining in the dim light of an oil lamp. Let's picture his workspace. The room is small, with a low ceiling and a single window covered by a reed mat. Tablets are stacked neatly on wooden shelves, labeled with clay tags. Marduk Apla dips his stylus in water to keep the clay soft, his movements precise but repetitive. Outside, the city hums with life, but here, it's just him, the clay, and the quiet scratch of his stylus. It's a monotonous task, perfect for our sleepy journey through Mesopotamia. Chapter 6. Evening and the End of the Day. As the sun sets, the city slows. Farmers return from the fields, their tools slung over their shoulders. Artisans close their workshops, and merchants count their earnings, scratching numbers onto tablets. Shubad and her family gather in their courtyard, the air cooling as stars begin to appear. They eat a simple meal, more flatbread, perhaps with a paste of chickpeas and garlic, washed down with beer. The children, tired from play, listen as Enlil Nam tells a story about Gilgamesh, his voice low and rhythmic. The city never fully sleeps. In the temple, priests keep watch, offering prayers to the moon god, Nana. In the tavern, Nancy pours beer for late-night customers, their laughter spilling into the street. But for most, the day is done. Families climb to their rooftops, spreading mats to sleep under the stars. The night is warm, the air heavy with the scent of the river, and the sounds of the city fade to a gentle hum. Let's linger on this moment. Shubad lies on her mat, her children curled beside her. The stars above are bright, a map of the god's domain. She might wonder about the harvest, the river, or the future of her family, but for now, she's content to rest. Life in Mesopotamia is hard, tied to the rhythms of the rivers and the whims of the gods, but it's also rich with routine, community, and small joys. Chapter 7. The Legacy of Mesopotamian Life. The world of Shubad and Enlil Nam is long gone, buried under layers of sand and time, yet its echoes remain. The cuneiform tablets, dug up by archaeologists, tell us about their lives, their laws, their stories, their daily struggles. The wheel, first used in Mesopotamia, still turns in our cars and machines. The 60-minute hour, born in Babylonian mathematics, ticks on our clocks. Even the beer we drink today owes a debt to those clay jars sipped through reed straws. Mesopotamia was not a paradise. It was a land of floods, wars, and hard labor. But it was also a place of invention, where people built cities, wrote stories, and created systems that shaped the world. Their daily lives, planting crops, weaving cloth, writing on clay, were the foundation of civilization, as ordinary and vital as our own routines. Let's end with one last scene. It's deep night in Uruk, and the city is quiet. The river flows gently, its waters catching the moonlight. In a small house, Shobad and her family sleep, their breaths soft and even. The stars wheel overhead, and the world turns, carrying their story forward through millennia. Good night, and may your dreams drift through the ancient streets of Mesopotamia, where life hums on, steady and eternal.